Now, let us prepare our hearts and minds to a time of meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable position in your seats, close your eyes if you wish, and take a few deep breaths. Let go of any distractions or worries that may be on your mind.
May the love we're sharing spread its wings and fly across the earth and bring new joy to every soul who is alive. May the blessings of God's grace and peace shine on everyone, and may we all see the light within, within, within. May the love we're sharing spread its wings and fly across the earth and bring new joy to every soul who is alive. And may the blessings of God's grace and peace shine on everyone, and may we all see the light within, within, within. May we all see the light within, within, within.
If you haven't done so already, I invite you to gently close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or soften your gaze, and we continue to turn inward. So I invite you to take a slow breath in and to release that full breath out. Again, breathing in presence and releasing effort. And begin to bring your awareness into your body. Feel yourself supported by the seat you are on. And notice where in your body you're holding tension without trying to fix it. Simply notice. And now bring your awareness to the breath, not controlling it, but allowing yourself to simply observe your pattern of breathing. And let yourself rest in the quiet center that is within, the place that watches thoughts come and go. And silently affirm to yourself, I am aware, I am present, and I am here. Continuing to breathe and notice if there are any thoughts that arise and let them pass just like clouds across the sky of awareness. Notice any emotions that are present. You don't need to make labels or stories, just be aware of those. And as we continue to sink deeper within ourselves, deeper into the stillness, we allow ourselves to go into the silence, to rest in awareness itself, that still, spacious presence that is beneath all experiences. So we quietly enter this space right here, right now, in the stillness of the silence. God is here, and all is truly well. We arise now from this sacred pause, from this sacred space, and begin to reorient ourselves to the present moment here and now, to observe the sounds that we may hear, to feel ourselves begin to re-enter our body, maybe wiggling your toes or your fingers and feeling yourself once again supported by your seat. And when you're ready, I invite you to take one more conscious breath. As we welcome ourselves back by gently opening our eyes, staring and looking at the beautiful faces on this screen. You are the face of God. And so it is.
As best I can, my heart is an open heart. as best I can. I let myself be human. Try to lighten up life's loads, whether tears or laughter flow, as best I can. Oh yes, as best I can. As best I can. My home is a kindness home, like Abraham, where a stranger is always welcome. If they're hungry, then they eat. If they're lonely, they've got me, as best I can. Oh yes, as best I can. Oh, 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 what can one man do? I'm just trying to find out. I can only give what I've decided I'm about, as best I can. My world is a peaceful world, where all nations stand shoulder to shoulder. We are equals before God. We are neighbors, one and all, as best I can. Oh, as best I can. We are children of one God. We are neighbors, one and all, as best I can. Oh yes, as best I can. I can. I will do the best that I can.
That was beautiful, David. Thank you so much. David Trolley, what a gift and what a blessing that you are. So I'm excited to begin my first Sunday with you as Associate Minister of Unity of Davis. Reverend Rich and I had been talking and planning several months ago about the theme for 2026, and we landed on two words, living authentically. And so what does that mean? And what does it look like? I actually see it as twofold. It means that I'm not here to be anyone else or to emulate anyone else. I'm minding my own becoming as my soul's journey unfolds from the inside out. It also means to release the expectations of the world, what the world wants, thinks, believes, or expects of me, and to choose what is true for me at the deepest moment. So living authentically really is an inside job. It's developing self-awareness rooted in spirit. And living authentically is also, it's a practice, a moment by moment willingness to slow down and to notice our thoughts. And when we have those moments where we drift from center and then gently return. So we are not starting this year with a big goal or a lofty resolution or demand to fix ourselves by February, because if you haven't noticed, it's January 11th already. That clock is ticking pretty quick. So we're starting with Reverend Robert Brummett's book, which is Living Originally. And Robert Brummett is a unity minister, has been a unity minister for over 40 years, and he's also deeply rooted in Buddhist teachings. And so in this book, there are 10 spiritual practices to transforming your life. And so I invite you, if you haven't already, to register for one of Reverend Richard's classes, as you'll be deep diving into this book, Living Originally. And we'll be sharing the practices on Sunday. So even if you're not able to attend the class, you're not missing out. You'll be able to pick up right where we are on Sundays. And I don't know if you know this, but you've actually already done the first practice this morning, and that is radical self-awareness in our meditation. We came together to focus on the breath and notice our thoughts and release judgment, and then refocus when we realize we may have drifted. Because in order to change anything or heal anything or live authentically, we first have to notice. And noticing requires us to slow down, which really does go against the pace of life, right? That everything is so fast moving, that media is so fast moving, that there's this jump to the next stage and phase of life. And many of us, we don't need more information. What we need is more awareness. And I'm not talking about the kind of awareness that says, oh, yeah, I know that about myself, but a radical kind. The kind that gently interrupts this autopilot living and brings us back into conscious presence. So have you ever driven somewhere and arrived thinking, how the heck did I get here? Many of us. Well, congratulations, you are not alone. You actually also understand autopilot spirituality. It's functional and it's efficient, and it's often happening completely unconscious. And so radical self-awareness invites us to wake up while we're driving. So we not only wake up to that, but it's also the horns that are honking behind you because the light isn't going to get any greener than it already is. Reverend Robert Brummett describes radical self-awareness as expanding our awareness from an inner center outward. So rather, we're living from the inside out. Many of us have learned this as the opposite way. Actually, we react first, feel later, and yeah, maybe we'll reflect on it. Social media and news is a perfect example of this. How often do we read something and we immediately have a reaction, and we go to that and we type what we have to say, or we argue with the TV? We're in that reactive space. And yet, later on, when we reflect, we may think, that isn't quite what was said there. What is more of the story? What else is happening there? So there really is power when we reflect. And I love the story. I heard this at Unity of Houston told many times. There's a story of a mother and a young boy who are in the car, and they are going through traffic, Houston traffic, California traffic, wherever you may be. Traffic is traffic, right? And so the mom is frustrated and she's honking the horn and she's trying to dive in between lanes. And the young son in the background says, "Mom, so why are you angry?" And she said, "I'm frustrated because we're stuck in traffic." And the little boy thinks for a moment and says, "But aren't we traffic too?" Radical self-awareness reverses the pattern of reacting first, feeling later, and then reflecting. And instead of reacting, it asks, what am I aware of right now? What am I feeling beneath my reaction? And from what center am I responding? Is it fear or truth, habit or intention? So it's not self-criticism. Awareness itself is neutral. What it does is it simply reveals that which is already present without judgment. And Unity teaches that awareness is the first movement of consciousness. Our Unity co-founder, Charles Fillmore, says that you cannot change what you don't first understand. You cannot change what you do not first understand. So awareness itself is not the problem. Avoiding awareness usually is. And you may well know that when you avoid something, it does not simply go away. It continues to take up space. And so we close the year with the melting bowl ceremony, the burning bowl ceremony, allowing ourselves to let go and then affirm what it is that we want. So we empty out what doesn't serve us, but then in order for that to not fill back up, we affirm what it is that we want to hold. And so I'm really not a New Year resolution person, but on January 1st, I listened to a podcast by Mel Robbins, who I have really come to appreciate her teachings. And I was listening to a process that she talked about for the new year, and I applied it. So I wrote down the highs of 2025, which there were many, the lows of 2025, which actually there were few, and what I want to start doing, stop doing, and continue doing. So I was called to ground myself in that and say, what is it that I want to do? And really, that practice ties in beautifully with the very practice and our theme this year of living authentically. If you want a different experience, it's calling from the center of your being. And I think now that more than ever, we need to live from a place of radical acceptance. And I have stilled myself enough to hear that soft calling. And I'm responding to that. This is choice, this is practice. Because if we don't choose to implement that time, we're back living on autopilot, which isn't necessarily bad, but it is limited. So autopilot says, well, this is just how I am, or that's how my family always does it, or even I don't have a choice. So radical self-awareness is the quiet ask that says, is that actually true? So we move from reaction to response, from defensiveness to observance, and from the need to move forward so quickly to spaciousness. And here is where, too, it gets very real in that radical self-awareness doesn't just show us our light, it also reveals our patterns. So the tone we use when we are tired, or the stories we replay when we feel unseen or forgotten, the way that our body tightens before we respond to hearing something upsetting. And so that awareness is not to shame us, but to free us. Because once something is seen clearly, it no longer runs the show unconsciously. And that's why Robert Brummett calls it radical, because it goes to the root. And at the heart of radical self-awareness is the inner center. In Unity, we call it the Christ within, or you may call it the I am, or the still point, whatever you choose to call it. It's that higher self, that centered nature. And so we are awakening to the Christ consciousness within ourselves, which shapes our thoughts and our words and our actions, which goes along with the third unity principle, which says that thoughts, I like to add feelings, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Thoughts and feelings held in mind produce after their kind. So, this third principle allows us to witness our thoughts and emotions and reactions without being hijacked by them. And it is so easy to get hooked by it, to go, off to the races, especially in today's culture. There is such a forward momentum of hurry, and we're being called to to pull back. And I want you to know that it's a practice. It takes work, but it doesn't have to be work that we want to avoid or work that we don't enjoy. And so we're gaining something really invaluable when we practice this, and that is the power of choice. Viktor Frankl says that between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and freedom. So radical self-awareness creates that space. I have just been in awe of the 1 to 2 dozen Buddhist monks that have been on their walk for peace. 2,300 miles cross country on foot from Fort Worth, Texas, which is where their home temple is, all the way to Washington, D.C., teaching mindfulness and kindness and unity over conflict and the ripple effect that that is creating. And it has been shocking and upsetting to see churches that are protesting peace, that are protesting a message of love, of calm. And they are so deeply embedded, these monks, in their teaching and in their practice that it may rattle us as observers, but for them, they've been practicing their whole life for that moment to stay calm, to stay peace. And I am deeply inspired by that. And so, as we begin this year-long journey of living authentically, radical self-awareness offers us three different gifts: a freedom from reactivity, compassion for ourselves and others, and the power of conscious choice. So we don't do all of this perfectly, not all the time, but we do it intentionally. And that is authenticity. It's not imperfection and performance. So I invite you this week, between today and next Sunday, to take a simple practice in and one day just pause and ask yourself, what am I aware of right now? Not, well, what should I be feeling or what's wrong with me? Instead, notice what's taking place in your body and what emotion may be present, and also what story may be running in your head. And then the key is adding compassion. Awareness without compassion is harsh, and awareness with compassion becomes healing. And that's what we are invited to do. So we are beginning 2026 by not trying to become something new. I know we have that phrase, new year, new me. We're not trying to become something new. What we are is becoming present to who we already are. And radical self-awareness doesn't demand change. It invites truth. And from truth, change unfolds naturally. So as we walk this living authentically journey together, may we be brave enough to notice, gentle enough to stay, and grounded enough to choose again right where we are. Because the most authentic life doesn't start someday. It starts with awareness right here and right now. And so it is.